Hello, YouTube. Oops. Okay, I'm just getting my TikTok audience going now. I always have to set up YouTube first because it often fails for some reason. It just goes blank. So that's why. And my main audience is on TikTok. That's why I'm always looking up there. Okay. Hello, I am your regular. Nene32, Shelley Thompson. Roofer Girl. So I'm just reading all your names, just staring. I actually was reading, wasn't just zoned out. Anyway, I'd love to know where you're from while we're waiting. My name's Lisa, and I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. I haven't really been out all day. I mean, I go to the gym every morning, but I haven't done much all day. I've just been sort of working. I love what I do. I was talking to this lady this morning at Chicago. Hi, Chicago. This lady at Whole Foods. She's started working there about a year ago. I noticed her, and she's obviously in her 70s at least. And I've never seen anyone so happy. And I said, "You love your job, don't you?" And she goes, "I love it." She goes, "It's the best time of my whole life." I'm only 62, and she's in her 70s, and she's saying life is like better than ever. She loves her job. And I thought, wow. I'm 62, and I thought things were going to be really different at 62. You don't really feel any different. Your body kind of lets you down a little bit. I'm not as strong as I was. Like, I have to ask for help at the gym with the big weights now. Tennessee. Hi, Tennessee. But yeah, it was just so heartwarming to hear this woman at least 10, 15 years older than me saying, "Best time of my whole life. I'm the happiest I've ever been." I thought, wow, she's so cheery. My mother was very cheery too. I'm very drawn to that. I don't like negativity. I find it exhausting. Toronto. Hi, Toronto. So you're 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock now. Alabama. Oh, I got that mixed up with Arkansas. I was just watching something about Arkansas, and it's a real, like a religious belt. What do you call that? Something belt. Anyway, it was quite fascinating. It's not called a religious belt. What's it called? Just how we're all different parts of the world, but it's a real, what's that called? Bible Belt, that's it. But the Bible Belt. It was quite, I'm not religious, but I love hearing how other people live. It was fascinating. 11 p.m., yeah. Pennsylvania. That's Pennsylvania, right? PA. Bible Belt, yeah, I got that right. I don't usually people have to help me out with stuff like that. Okay, I'm going to start answering questions because I got one I really like, because it's going to send me off the deep end, this one. Anyway, if you go in the link above, it will tell you everything I've got to offer to how you set yourself up as a calm leader. You can download my free behavior board. You can hire me for one-on-one coaching, or I have a whole course that goes for 5 weeks, and it teaches you how to get respect in 5 weeks if you have a 3 to a 12-year-old. Okay, Alicia said, how do I implicate timeout for a 2-year-old so they understand it? They don't understand it, and plus I hate timeout. So there's two answers there. They don't understand it. They don't understand cause and effect, action and consequence. They're just not quite there yet. That happens at around 3. So yeah, in timeout, I think it's really humiliating. I can't stand it. I've never done it, and I never will, and I never do, and never taught it. So yeah, get rid of timeout. Toddlers are all about consistent corrective action, not words. And they learn through repetition. So you've got to do it's a consistent corrective action every time they do something you don't like, but just pick one thing per week. You don't want to be addressing everything with a toddler, because they're often doing 20 things a day that you hate, right? So because they're just brand new, fresh human beings. They're going to throw their bodies into life. They don't have any concept of things yet. So yeah, consistent corrective action, and they learn through repetition. It might take a week, and then they might go back to it again, but you got to be consistent. That's the key. If you do something 99 times, but the 100th time you don't correct it, they're going to remember the one time you don't. Sorry, I just put my dishwasher on. Then I thought, oh, it's really loud. I may as well do a live. I don't know why I do. I often do that. I often get all my machines going, then do a live. I guess because I know I'm stuck at home. Like, I know I'm stuck, and I love doing lives. Okay. Um, okay. Consistent corrective action with a 2-year-old hitting. I'll go right to my course. I actually have a course on toddlers who hit. I'll read what I said about that because it's probably a lot better than what I'm going to come up with right now. So a consistent corrective action. If they hit, where is it? Toddlers, okay. If they hit, you say no. There's always a consistent corrective action. So you either take a toy away that they hit with, or you say no and you just remove them or remove the other kid, or you remove yourself. There has to be some negative action towards that hit, and they'll eventually connect it up and just stop doing it. But they won't think it through. It'll just sort of be a knee-jerk reaction. I'm just curious. I never look at this course. I'm just curious what I wrote about that. Why do toddlers hit, bite, blah, 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 blah. Okay, here we go. What actions to take and when to take them. What did I write here? Let's see. This is going to be best explained by outcome. Oh, I have a whole bunch of examples, but I'll give you the... It's not that interesting. And that I don't want to go through all the examples. It's all in the examples. But anyway, yeah, it's just consistent corrective action. You say no, one word, no. And then you take a toy away, remove them, remove the other kid they hit, remove yourself. There has to be some action that they don't like. And the second they hit, it has to be fast though, because they're not going to connect it up either way. You can't say, oh, in an hour I'll correct that. They're not going to connect it up. Son is 13 months. Is he too young to start teaching right and wrong and discipline? Yes and no. I kind of consider them babies till they're about 16 months old. And it's sort of the same. It's consistent corrective action, but it's just gentler. It gets a little bit more firm as they get a little bit older. But when they're babies, it's just a very gentle no, and you can take a toy away. But then you kind of want to redirect them when they're really little. You don't do that so much as they get older because it can be considered diversion and reward. But when they're little, you redirect them. So you could say no, and you can take that toy away, but then you might want to sit and read a book with them. You see, you want to redirect them and take their mind off of it, sort of. It's a sort of a blurred line there. When do you start doing that? When do you know what I mean? It's like saying, when are they teenagers? 13, 12, 15, it's kind of a blurred line there. But it's a little bit easier with toddlers because developmentally they all kind of develop at the same time. Like I always said 3 3/4 is when they can develop empathy. It's a real turning point. And the professionals were always saying it was 5 years old. Then they were saying it was 3. Now they're saying, the last thing I checked, because I often check this because I knew I was right about this. And now they're saying it's 3 years and 9 months. It's when they can actually understand other people are in the world too. And they actually have feelings too. They kind of come outside their body and realize, hey, wait a minute, other people have feelings. They just sort of develop empathy, or they can. Oh, goodness, this is a tough one. I have a promiscuous 15-year-old. How do I get her to have more pride over her body? It's not so much pride over her body, it's pride over her as a person. Okay, the body just goes along for the ride, if that makes any sense. Okay, so you want to increase her self-esteem? You'd have to hire me for that. That's not a simple answer. I need to know history, what's she doing, what kind of relationship do you have? So you got to work on her self-esteem. I can't get, no, I don't want to go on about that anymore because sometimes I get kids on here. So, but I know I was just going to go on about that a little bit, but I can't because it's a little bit gritty. Okay. My preschooler hits, and if I tell him no and take his toy or something else, he keeps hitting. That's fine. Just keep taking stuff away and then just keep walking away. Like, who's in charge here? Parents say, yeah, but then he makes me do this. No, you really got to take charge. Is it hard? Yes. Is it worth it? Yes. You got to show them who's boss. If they're in control, why am I holding this? If it's like a Whitney Houston or something, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, like that, whatever happened. Geez, I'd love to be able to sing like that. Anyway, but yeah, like, who's in charge here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard work, but it's worth it. You got to show them, hey, I'm not afraid of you. I'm just going to you keep hitting. I'm going to keep taking stuff away. Yikes. Yeah, I wish I would have hired you. My son now's in jail. Yeah. There's someone asked me once years ago, it was just one of those, you have a couple of drinks, you start saying, well, would you defend your kid if they broke the law? No, I'd be driving mine to the police station because I believe in accountability, but I'd still visit them every day at the jail. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just heartbreaking though if they make a bad decision. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. I feel like a lot of kids nowadays lack empathy. What do you think? No, I wouldn't say that. I think they're self-entitled. There's more of that going around. They're also weaker mentally. They don't have resilience because they're raised by this new style of parenting, which is the pleaser parent, validating every single feeling and thought, having participation awards, rolling out the red carpet, trying to make life easy for them. I definitely see a weaker mental health. But empathy, no, I don't see that as being worse. If anything, it might be better because they're very highly sensitive about themselves. They're kind of weaker, so they tend to recognize that in others sometimes. So if anything, I think it might be a little bit better from what I've seen. Okay. I always wonder, they say some comments were filtered to protect the community's experience. I always wonder, what are people saying on here? Like, what exactly did they say that TikTok had to filter them out? My 8-year-old son has ADHD, and I'm just beginning our journey in gentle parenting. I'm not a gentle parent, so I can't comment on that. And like, people ask me to critique other parenting methods. I don't look at them. I have no idea what anyone else is teaching. Kids have taught me everything. I'm not under anyone else's umbrella. I just call my parenting style calm leadership. And, but yeah, I don't know what anyone else is doing. And I wouldn't critique it. I think that's kind of tacky. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's lots of different ways out there. It would be like being religious and critiquing other people's religion. I think to each his own. If you want to follow some other method, go for it. If that speaks to you, then that's right for you. I teach, if I speak to you, then I'm going to tell you everything I know. I've been working with kids for 51 years now. So yeah, kids taught me all this. I don't critique other parenting methods. I think that's kind of tacky. Yeah, I just wouldn't do it. But I definitely certain things that people, I know what's out there is pleaser parent. A whole bunch of methods are teaching that. A whole bunch of people are teaching that. So I'm not critiquing any one person, but there's certain things I really don't like that are out there. But I'm not going to critique any one specific named person or method, no. Do you have a course on sleep training? I'm torn on this, though some nights I'm up a few times myself. Do you know why I had that bedtime battles course? Geez, I know I keep saying, and I was accountable to have it out yesterday, so I got to pay the price today. And yeah, that's fine. I deserve it. It's because, do I put sleep training a baby in there? I keep putting it in, taking it out, putting it in, taking it out. Should I put sleep training in with my bedtime battles course? It's basically how to get kids to bed and keep them there for young kids. Should I also put sleep training a baby in there? Should I put that in there? I'd love your advice on that because that's why it's not out yet. I keep putting it in, taking it out, putting it in, taking it out. So yeah, here it is. But I don't know why. I'm just so stuck in I don't like putting a course out there unless I really like it. And that one, I'm just not sure if I should put sleep training a baby in there. So should I include sleep training a baby? Because that's what you're asking. If you're talking about sleep training, that's usually a baby, I'm assuming. Sleep training Ferber method. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. So I'll never, I know what I did and what I teach, but I don't know what the Ferber method is. I don't know. Don't include it. Okay. Yeah, I just have this funny feeling I shouldn't include that. Yeah, I don't know why. I haven't really thought about it. I just keep putting it in, taking it out. Weird, eh? Okay, how can I find your courses? They're up above in the link. All my courses are there. The free behavior board, the coaching, all the links are up there. All my courses. The big encyclopedia, the big kahuna is that How to Get Respect in 5 Weeks. That has pretty much everything in there. But if you want to break it down into smaller things, but it's for 3 to 12-year-olds. So it's all in there. It's not just about how to get respect. There's all, about sex education, bullying. It has everything in there. So it's a really good sort of an encyclopedia. If you've got a 3 to 12-year-old, it's a good place to go, like a reference to go to. If you don't approve, 100%. If you don't approve. Don't know what you mean. Okay, my 4-year-old still doesn't want to sleep in his own bed. That is bedtime battles. That is, you just say to them, look, you're going to be staying in your own bed. That's the way it's going to go from now on. And then you say, the first time they get out of bed, you say, no, you stay in bed, and you put them back to bed. The second time you say bedtime, one word. Every time after that, you don't look at them or talk to them. You go calmly and slowly put them back to bed. Might be 100 times, might be more. Okay, but it's usually one night of hell. And then they don't usually get up much the next night because they realize they're not going to win that. Once they realize you're serious, they'll just get exhausted. You got to be able to beat them in this stuff. Like I don't mean physically. I mean, you got to be able to win with this stuff. If you can't win with a 4-year-old, what are they going to be like at 14? Yeah, if you let a 4-year-old be in charge, the teen years are going to be difficult. I don't know the age, so I can't really answer. When my son gets upset, he rips his hair out. He has lost so much. I tried giving him silk, won't work. What does that mean? So how can I help him? He's 2. Oh, I was going to say he's probably under 2. I've had clients who've done this. I don't like this method, but sometimes if they get that upset, I would throw something at them, like give them one of those popper toys or something else to do, like take their hand and give them something else, or put a foam helmet on them. If it happens all the time, they'll just learn that's not a place they can go to anymore. But give them like something like a stress reliever. There's all sorts of those things out there on Amazon. Stress reliever toys, stuff like that, something to do when he gets frustrated, like pulling something. Like there's different things that I don't know. It depends. Every family's different. They say, well, that didn't work, but that did work. So you got to divert his attention away from his hair, either by stopping him to be able to get to it or give him something else to take his aggression out on. And it's a stage. They don't usually, the only reason I'm kind of hesitating, I know I kind of look hesitant with this, is that can actually become a habit, hair pulling. It actually can be a thing where they do it for life almost. So yeah, you want to intervene as soon as possible. They don't usually keep doing it, but it's rare. But the odd kid past the age of about 2, 2.5, if they're still doing it, they might do it for quite some time. So either impede his ability to get to his hair or give him something else to do. Oh, silk fabric calms us down, but not when he's upset. Anything. Oh, I see. So it's very tactile. Yeah. Same idea. Something where there's things that. What is it? It's something that they pull. It's not. It's that putty, and they pull it, and it cracks when you pull it. A lot of kids love it. It sounds like popper. That popping plastic stuff, wrapping stuff. It sounds like that, but it's like more like a slime, and it crackles. I know one of my clients found that, and they showed it to me. It was really, I thought I would like that. But it was something loud, and the kid really liked it. And it sounded like when you're angry, it's like you're breaking stuff. So a lot of 2-year-old stuff. By the way, let me just say, 2-year-olds don't make any sense because they're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. So your expectations of them are kind of off. Everything they're doing usually is just a temporary stage they're going through. So there's one piece of advice I can give you to make your life easy that I did. I completely childproofed my whole house. There was nothing below the waist. All the plants were up above the waist. Even when they went through that curtain stage where they were climbing in curtains, I would fold up the curtains over the curtain rod. So I never had to say no to them around the house. They didn't throw a lot of stuff. And I did the toy rotation system too. So they never really got bored. I was always, they didn't have very many toys out at any given time. I would rotate them maybe once a week. So they just weren't bored, and they didn't tend to get mad or frustrated because I was never saying no to them. So you can kind of set your life up to be easier and more successful with toddlers. So it's not so much about dealing with the bad behavior, which, yeah, it's consistent corrective actions through repetition, all that, blah, 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 blah. But I kind of avoided all that by just making my life easier in the first place. I set us up for success, right? They always had new toys coming out. They were just the same old things, but they were just rotating, and I completely childproofed the house. Does that make sense? Set them up for success. Get your environment straight. Get it sorted out, and then your life will be easier. I'm going to do a video on that. That's a good one. What should I call that one? Set your toddler up success. I don't really like that title, but whatever. I don't worry about, if I worried about titles, I'd never get a video out there. I didn't give in with my 3-year-old wanting the cell during lunch. I did it. Thank you. Oh, I remember that. You said she won't eat unless she has to have a cell phone during lunch. And I'm like, no, she doesn't. And now you did it. Good for you. So you mean now you're the leader, right? Good for you. Excellent. Pat yourself on the back. Take yourself out for ice cream. Yeah, I remember that one. Oh, this is a good one. I'm assuming this is a 2-year-old. She knows it's wrong throwing stuff, but still does it. Right. Lots of people know it's wrong speeding, but they still do it unless they know they're going to get a ticket. If they don't know there's going to be a correction, they're going to keep doing it. Knowing something is wrong doesn't make us stop doing it, right? Right? If we never got a ticket for speeding, would we know it's wrong. If there was never a consequence for speeding, would we do it more? You see what I mean? Like we're all like that, right? There has to be a consequence. You have to be accountable. So yeah, would you pay your rent if you knew you're never going to get kicked out? Or there's a consequence to everything. So if there's no consequence, why would you give a crap if it's wrong or not? Doesn't make any sense at all to me. For a child to, yeah. You say, we do everything. She just does it and then laughs. We do everything. What do you mean? We do everything. Lots of times people will say, I've tried everything. You say, you're missing something though. Like what I mean is like, it would be like if I was a professional nutrition expert and I said, make sure that you eat this every day. Well, I am eating it and I'm still overweight. Yeah, but it's a whole program, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into this. I'm just giving you, I'm answering little questions here and there, but the big picture is what really counts. You know, it's about your body language. When you say something, you follow through. You never yell. Yelling makes you look weak and it makes them act out more. They don't respect you. They never respect a yeller. There's two very distinct parenting styles, the old-fashioned authority and the new trendy pleaser parent. If you're going to err on either side, the authority for sure. They raise tougher individuals. The pleaser parent that's been so trendy now for the past 30 years, that's what I've been up against for 30 years now. I'm not the authority, I'm the leader. It's very different from either one of them. But the pleaser parent, they raise self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. And I really see a lot of issues coming up. Those teenagers, when they're raised like that, tend to wipe their feet on their parents and never really respect them. The authority parents, their teenage will rebel against them, but eventually they'll thank them for being the authority. But they both yell. Both of those parenting styles yell. Leaders never yell. I was never yelled at. You know, my mom was certainly more of a leader. But yeah, they both tend to yell. So what does that say about that? They're not really in control, are they? 99.9% of the parents that come to me for coaching, they're doing this pleaser parent style, and 99.9% of them yell. Snowflakes, yeah. You know, they're not all. I'm generalizing, but you get the idea. It swings more that way. I said 30 years ago when I saw this style coming in, I said, we're in big trouble. Those are going to be self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. 30 years later. Hate to be right. And I'm not a right fighter, but yeah, I saw that one coming. It's kind of like training a puppy. Sorry to say consistency and leadership are crucial. Well, I have to disagree with that. And the reason is I'm lousy with dogs. They walk all over me. So kids are easy. Teenagers, piece of cake. Dogs, I don't know why. They just sense. And you know, I've been horseback riding a lot. I actually know how to ride. I know how to gallop and trot and all that. Well, I know how to make a horse do all that. I can do it too. But anyway, how many times do you think I've been bucked off of horses? And the owner of the ranch or whatever always says, they've never done that before. Animals walk all over me. It's the weirdest thing. They just see me coming a mile away. I'm not afraid of horses or anything. And that they just, oh no, you're going out the back end. As soon as we get out there, you're going to be gone. Or they go right between two trees and my legs go back. And, you know, like, it's just the weirdest thing. So yeah, it makes sense that they would be similar, but if they were, I wouldn't be basically abused by pets. All my dogs have just walked all over me. Yeah, I don't know why. But I guess, I don't know. Oh, I always get rescues, so I always feel sorry for them, so I do go overboard. Yeah, I was never yelled at either. Yeah, I was never yelled at, ever once. I'm honestly surprised to hear that. Yeah, I'm useless with animals. I've always had them. Um, but yeah, no obedience at all. But they always know they're very loved. I'll give you a good example of that. My little old guy just died about 6 months ago, and I haven't got a new dog since because I'm in my 60s. I got grandkids coming now. So I'm thinking, I think I'm going to try and not have any, it's the first time in my whole life I haven't had kids or animals to look after. So it's really weird. I can actually get up in the morning and do what I want. It's just bizarre. But yeah, anyway, when he died, this is an example of how my dogs were always in charge. He was very old. He had kidney disease along with a million other things. Anyway, I took him out 8 times a day to pee. I live in an apartment. I had to take him out 8 times a day, and he still would often have accidents. And every time he was peeing, he had an accident in the house, he'd come over, look right at me and pee and give me the filthiest look. Like, this is your fault. No guilt whatsoever. He was mad at me because I didn't get him out in time. But just the way he looked at me as he's peeing, like, this is on you. Like, this is your fault. So yeah, I'm not a leader with dogs at all. How can you tell? Is a big word for me, neurodivergent. Okay, how can you tell if you're just turned 3-year-old is loud, busy, and noisy, or maybe neurodivergent? I don't know. I can't assess that. But I would still be the same leader. Like, you're still the same leader. It's not about your kids. It's about you. If you're a leader, I've worked with kids with also, not once did anyone ever say to me, here's an easy one, Lisa. Not once, not ever. They always went like this. Good luck with this one. So I always got challenging kids and teenagers to work with. So, and it was never about the kid. It's about me. It's about you. It's about your leadership skills. So don't worry about putting a label on them. Worry about your leadership. You're shifting your energy's going to the wrong place. Put it on you. Like, if I was working with kids and they acted out, I always thought, okay, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong here? I always did that. Always. That's a leader. Like, if I was running a huge corporation and it wasn't doing well, am I going to blame my staff? No. I'm going to think, what am I doing wrong? I'm obviously missing something here. That's a leader, right? Yeah, don't, a lot of parents want labels for their kids. What's the point? It's okay if you want that. But I mean, overall, you don't change. Your parenting is still leadership based. So. Okay, what are you going to do if you do find out your kid has ADHD? What are you going to do? Label them and then not do anything? Like, that's what I don't understand. Parents are dying. Parents are looking for labels for their kid. And I know doctors tell me this all the time because a lot of my clients are doctors. And they'll say, more than ever, you get moms coming in wanting a label for their child to absolve themselves of their own responsibility towards the kid's behavior. That's what they tell me all the time. Why? Okay, if you want to label your child, in other words, if you want to blame your child, that's your response. That's up to you. That's your choice. I would rather say, am I a really good, calm, strong leader for my kid? That, look at you. Remember, I'm not fixing kids here. I'm teaching parenting. That's what I'm doing. I don't call it, I'm not a kidding coach. I'm not a teenager coach. I'm a parenting coach. I teach you how to be a leader. I managed to get respect from delinquent teenagers. Was it them or me? See what I'm saying? It's your leadership skills that are everything. Don't be so quick to want to label your kids. Yeah, like ODD was just invented to make moms feel better about themselves. That's what doctors have always told me. It's not a medical diagnosis. So if you do get the ADHD diagnosis, what are you going to do? Just go, okay, I don't have to worry about it. He's labeled this, so it's not my responsibility. Like, what are you going to do different? What I mean is, to what end? If you did find out, what are you looking towards You're parenting, or you're looking to label your child? What's your priority? I would fix my parenting first, and then I might want to look for a label just to help them through me. But I wouldn't even do that probably. I used to call them alphabet kids because I used to get some pretty big files handed to me with these kids. I never once ever opened up one single file. And all these kids had so many acronyms after their name. ADHD, ADD, ODD, WXYZ, whatever. And I never opened up one file because I knew how to be a good leader. I knew how to get respect. Didn't matter what they had. What difference does it make? They're still kids. They still have the same needs. They need, crave, and want leadership, love, fun, understanding, empathy. They want someone who knows how to listen to them. They want to have fun. They want to feel good about themselves. Doesn't matter what they have. Autism's a little bit different, and mental disabilities, obviously that stuff's different. I work with that too, but that's in coaching. I have a 5-year-old son with ADHD. People say to ignore bad behavior. Who says that? I've never said that. And a tantrum is not bad behavior, by the way. It's a loss of total control. It's not bad behavior. That's why I never would punish a tantrum. Okay, you asked me about food. I'm not a doctor or nutritionist, so I can't really address that. But I will tell you what I did with my own kids. I mean, right now, my kids are grown and gone, so I can do whatever I want. I'm a gluten-free health food vegan. So I'm very radical the way I eat and the way I live. I'm very into health and fitness because I can do that now. But when my kids were growing up, I was very into health food, but I wasn't radical like I am now. But I was very into health food. What I would notice, because we didn't really have stuff with preservatives. I didn't have junk food. I made everything from scratch. And there was no sugar, really. We didn't eat sugar. You know, it was pretty healthy. And then they'd go out to a birthday party. And I'd say, have at it whenever you go out. They always came home a little bit, maybe more moody, maybe, you know, it did definitely affect their mood. They'd often come home with stomach aches too, because they weren't used to all that garbage, right? So, but yeah, so I don't know. I know I can't handle, because I eat so healthy, I can't handle anything processed. Like, you know, that fake meat for vegans, I'll have it once in a blue moon, maybe once every few months as a treat, only if I'm having people over. But I never feel good after it. So, because my system isn't used to it. You get immunity to certain things, and kids haven't built up those immunity yet. The immunity yet. You act like you know everything. You should know kids with ADHD are different. These are all the kids I worked with. That's where I learned all this. My point is that you still need to be a leader. No matter what they've got, you don't say, oh, I've got ADHD, not my fault. I don't have to do anything now. It's like a lot of parents use the labels as a crutch and to absolve themselves of any responsibility. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, all the kids I worked with pretty much had acronyms after their name. Pretty much all of them. My 1-year-old gets angry and cries when I take something away because she hasn't learned that she's one. She's a brand new, fresh human being. She can't understand yet that if I want something, I can't have it. Life will teach her that. They don't come out of the womb understanding that. So yeah, she'll eventually learn. She's just a baby still. She does know everything. That's why we listen to her. Thanks for that. I know everything about what I teach. Yes. But do I think my way is the only way? No, I'm not an idiot. But I know it works. So I've been doing this for 51 years. And you know, times change, but people don't. Actually, I never would have become a parenting coach if it hadn't been for those troubled teens I worked with. They told me to teach this. They said, you have to teach this, Lisa. No one's ever talked to us like you do. And I said, yeah, whatever. There was no such thing as a parenting coach. This was probably 25 years ago or more. And then I took, it was really interesting, actually. Then I took career counseling. I spent $5,000 on 1 week, 8 hours a day of career counseling. It was intense. And they never once asked about kids or parents or anything. It was just IQ tests. And, you know, it was just the weird problem solving. It was the weirdest thing. And they said, we usually come out with 2 or 3 different careers. You came out with one, and there isn't even a job. It said, teach parenting. It was bizarre. It was just bizarre. So if I could have saved myself $5,000 if I just listened to those teenagers. And it's not that. And if you don't like what I have to say, I have no problem with that at all. I'm never going to resonate with you. You've got to follow someone that resonates with you, or you're never going to do it. So you're dedicated. Oh my God, am I ever dedicated? I freaking love parenting. I love it. I love helping parents. It was the most fun I ever had in my whole life. I was one of those crazy mothers. I was the goofy mom. I loved it. Parenting was the most fun I ever had in my whole life. And then people used to say, oh my God, you're so lucky you got the easiest kids in the world. No, I knew how to get respect so I could just relax and have fun with my kids. You got to bond with them. You want to be fun. So I didn't have to discipline. I could just relax. But if they ever did step a toe out of line, it was just mom's look, and that's all. My mom had that. Just mom's look. I was going to say it's genetic, but I'm adopted. So if you got a 1-year-old who's crying because they didn't get what they wanted, there's no way I'd give it back to them, but I would divert them. I would do something. I would read to them or something. I would redirect them. I don't like diversion. It's a parenting method I can't stand. It's because you never divert with broccoli. It's always done with sugar or candy. It's when they're doing something bad and you use diversion to get them away from it. But if you've just, not disciplined, but taken something away from a 1-year-old and they're upset about it, then I would probably pick them up and walk them around, maybe read a book or something with them. So you would redirect their energy because they're still babies. I wouldn't ignore that with a 1-year-old. There'd be till about 16 months, then it starts to transfer over. You take something away and they can learn. Then they have to learn how to self-regulate. You cannot teach someone how to self-regulate. They'll just learn they're not always going to get their own way. And don't use words. Those mini therapy sessions, God, I feel it coming on. Those mini therapy sessions that I hate so much and they're so trendy right now, they're just for you. They're not for your toddler. Total garbage. Total waste of time. They're all about actions. They're not about words. It's that use your words. Use your words. What are you feeling? Oh, God. Oh, Lisa, don't get into that zone. It drives me insane. Ah. My son's diagnoses of ADHD and his meds was a tool, not a solve-all. I had to change my parenting. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. And I can't discuss medication. I've worked with lots of kids who were on it and lots who weren't. Yeah, it definitely can help, or other times it doesn't. I can't comment on it. I'm not a doctor, and I don't know what I'd do. It would definitely be something I would think about, though. I wouldn't rule it out. If I had a kid with ADHD who was stuck on the ceiling all the time, yeah, I'd look into it. I don't know if I'd do it. I might. I don't know. You never can judge someone else with something like that unless you've walked in their shoes. I've worked with those kids. Yeah, their eyeballs are like spinning. I mean, when they're, the real hyperactive ones. I remember once years ago, this one little boy, I worked with him frequently. And I said to they were all doing a test. So the whole classroom was quiet and his eyes were spinning. And I said, can I take him to the playground? And I got permission to take this kid to the playground. I took the test and I said, you can swing so long as you're answering the questions. So I asked him questions as he was swinging. And I think I swung with him for a swing. I think I swinged. I think I swung with him for a while, and then I started getting nauseous because I was trying to write. Anyway, he aced the test, but I was meeting his hyperactivity mode. I was getting that out of his system so he could actually concentrate. He was probably one of the most hyperactive kids I've ever worked with. But yeah, the teacher can't do that. Take him out to the playground and have him swing while he answers questions. Why did you let yourself go? Why did you let yourself go? Get kids on here, right? Okay. It was a saving grace for him at school. He would get so frustrated because his mind. Yeah, I've seen that. I have seen that. And sometimes I've seen them just cry and say, what's wrong with me? I mean, it really is. It can be extremely difficult for some of these kids and their parents, of course. Yeah, 32-month-old. So that's almost 3 now. Needs me to sleep with her to fall asleep. Okay. That's up to you if you want to do that. I wouldn't, but that's your choice. My son is 8 and still trying to be the leader and gain respect, not letting ADHD be an excuse, bad behavior. Yeah, absolutely. It's just more work and more patience. That's all. That's all it is. It's more work and it's more patience. But those are the kids I learned all this from. My own kids, not so much. I didn't learn much with them. I learned how to live with teenagers. That's something else. You can't talk about teenagers till you've lived with them and raised them, because living with them is different. You go through all sorts of different stages of letting go, and that's something you can't talk about it unless you've been there. But anyway, yeah, those are all the kids that I worked with, was all the ADHD, I call them alphabet kids, WXYZ kids. And then I had my own kids, and I was expecting that. So my son did have tantrums, but they weren't hyper or anything. So yeah, it was like, where's the challenge? Well, you've already answered your own question. My almost 2-year-old is an extreme mama's boy and naughty, but an angel when I'm not around. The tip is that he knows how to push you around. So you're not the leader, he is. That's all it is. He's the leader. And he can't lead other people around by the nose ring, and that's what he's doing with you. So yeah, so he's almost 2, yeah. I'm starting to think I may be the problem. Always look at it that way. Always. We're never fixing kids. I used to work with delinquent teenagers, and if they did I can't go into, and I tell a lot more in coaching when I'm working because it's just more personal. But if they did something wrong and I heard about it, like the police would tell me about it or something, I always would say something like this to them. Now, I saw them 1 hour a week, and I would say, and they would say, I guess you heard what I did over the weekend. I'd say, yeah. I said, I blame myself. I'm missing something. I'm not a good enough mentor for you, or else you wouldn't have done that. And they're all like, it's not your fault, Lisa. Like, I took responsibility. I absolved them of the guilt, and I took the responsibility. There's a reason, the psychological reason for that. But why on earth would I blame them for that? I'm their leader. I'm their mentor. You have to, and as their parent, especially if they do something, like even now, my son's 33. If he was late for work, oh, where did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong as a mother? I always take on the responsibility of whatever my kids do or don't do. Like, and they're 33 and 28. I mean, you just do. That's that. You want to be that. You want to do that. Why would I blame them? I know it sounds kind of crazy at this age, but I still always look to myself. I'd like to tell you some of those stories. I save a lot of the stuff for coaching because it's pretty gritty, and I get kids on here, right? So I keep stuff kid friendly. Tips for her to go to bed without having me to fall asleep. That's the 32-month-old. Okay, just say, now you stay in bed and don't get out of bed. And the first time she gets out of bed, you say, I said it's bedtime. And then you put her back to bed. The second time, you say bedtime. Every time after that, you don't look at her or talk to her. You just quietly, calmly, slowly put her back to bed. It might take 100 times. She'll eventually learn. But that's, it's almost unfair because you've been climbing into bed with her. So it's going to be hard. It's going to be emotionally difficult. But if you really want to stop it, that's how you do it. Extreme emotions from a 7-year-old girl. She's so terrified to let me get out of the car to go inside. I don't know what's going on. You've been here lots of times before. I don't know what's going on there. I'd have to ask a lot of questions. I'd have to assess that situation. She's 7. I feel like I'm getting hiccups. Oh, shoot. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. I'd have to assess that one. Yeah, if you want my help, you'd have to hire me for coaching, and I would. Okay, Marlene. Did you write something previously? Because I don't quite know what you mean. Not sure if I'm too soft. I do keep my threats, but he developed an attitude. Well, I don't know what you're doing. If you want to learn how to get respect, I do have a whole course on that. It's like the whole Bible of all this, and it's how to get respect in 5 weeks. Goes through everything, the behavior boards. Then you get off the behavior boards, and you do the moment. If you want to check out that course, it might be good for you. You know, then you kind of assess where you are. A lot of parents say, "Oh, I didn't realize what I was doing till I read that." Like it goes into what to avoid too. Like anyway. And as a stay-at-home mom, I have so much social anxiety, especially taking my kids anywhere. Well, practice makes perfect. If you're afraid of something, you have to face it. Courage isn't avoiding your fear, it's facing it and walking towards it. So the more you go out, the more you get out there, the easier it'll get. Just take your kids out to the park and talk to everyone around there. Yeah. What to do when other kids hitting my son, 35 and 36 months, my best friend's son. If the other mother is around, there's nothing you can do. If they're not taking care of business and keeping your kids safe, then I've actually dropped friends over that. If I had friends who we only were friends because of play groups, if they had violent kids, because my kids never fought back, they'd just get black and blue, right? So, and I didn't want them fighting back. It's your responsibility to keep your kids safe. So. But yeah, I just dump those friends. And if it's your best friend, just suggest you get together without the kids. And if she asks why, I'd say, because your kid keeps hitting mine. I don't want my kid getting hit. Is it worth your kid getting hit or losing the friendship? I would put my kids before my friend. Yeah, I honestly don't know what's going on here. What's up with kids putting food in their closets, fruit and bread? I don't know what's going on here. This is so common lately, and it never was before. In the last 6 months, I've heard more about food hoarding than I've ever heard before. I have no idea what's going on with that. None. Like, I don't know. Like, why is it so common right now? Anyway, if you want my help with that, I can assess your specific situation, but there's no trend I've seen, why it's happening. But yeah, if you want my help, you'd have to hire me. It might just be one session for that. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I heard about it once a year maybe, and now I've probably heard about it 20 times in the last 6 months. 20 clients have had food hoarders. It's weird, isn't it? 4-year-old son 4-year-old son sometimes throwing and breaking things at school. Any ideas or consequences for this? Well, what does the teacher say? Because you always want to go, if they're at school, you always say to the teacher, what would you suggest I do? If she doesn't have any ideas, then just say, okay, every time you break something at school, you're going to have to take money out of your allowance, and they should be getting allowance from 3 years old on. So say you're going to pay for it with your allowance, and you're going to go to the school and you're going to, replace it. So yeah. That's crazy. You mean about the food hoarding? It's the weirdest thing. With coaching, lots of stuff does go in trends. Like sometimes I started my business specializing in crisis with teenagers, and now I still will get the odd crisis case, but because I don't lead with that anymore, I don't tend to get as much of it. And but then sometimes I'll have 3 or 4 crisis clients at once, and I don't sleep well when that. And when I say crisis, I mean life and death stuff. So, and I don't sleep well if I've got 3 or 4 crises. I'm always on guard, always. In the middle of the night, if I think I hear the phone ring. So I'm always on guard with that. And then I'll go like months without one. So, and I can't figure out, why do I get 3 in 1 week, but then none for you? Can't figure it out. But that food hoarding, that is bizarre. There's been so many in the last 6 months. How can I deal with a 6-year-old disrespectful when she doesn't have her way? That's not her. That's just a tell. She doesn't respect you because you're not a leader. Remember, it's all about you. We're never fixing kids here. She's just reacting to your parenting. Her disrespect is because of your parenting. So work on your leadership skills. That just doesn't happen. They don't disrespect a leader. They just don't. They'd be embarrassed to, because they look up to you. You're like a mentor. They want to please you. So they're not going to disrespect you. So work on your leadership skills. It's never about them. If it was, how did I get respect from all those hundreds of kids and teenagers I worked with? Was it them or was it me? It's my leadership skills that did that. I was 11 years old and I started volunteering in daycare centers, and they used to always put me with the difficult kids, and they used to say all the time, they like you, and how do you get such good behavior out of them? I didn't know how to answer that. I was leading. I was a really good leader. And with kids, I understand kids. I just get them. I just do. So I meet their needs and manage their wants. The wants are the discipline. The needs are the fun. The build them up, make them feel good about themselves. I should tell the pool story, shouldn't I? That's my absolute favorite story. It has everything bundled up into one story. Everything I teach kind of is bundled up into that one story. If you're interested, ask. You've probably heard it a million times. But anyway, okay. Love your advice. I'm pregnant with my first. Any advice? I'm so nervous. If mom and baby are happy and healthy, don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about what people tell you, what you look like, what you smell like. If you haven't bathed all day, don't worry about the house being a mess. Don't worry about cooking. Nothing. Mom and baby happy, healthy. That's it. That's it. That's all. You're only focused for the first 3 months for sure. In other words, just relax and enjoy as much as possible. Sleep when they sleep, you know. Do you have a reference to refer to for leadership skills? I have a course that tells you exactly how to do all this. It's called How to Get Respect in 5 Weeks. It's on my link in my thing there, and that has everything in there. If not, if you want something for free, you can just download my behavior board. It's a snippet of the course. It just sort of shows you how to start getting respect. And lots of people are getting success with certain behaviors just with that. And then if you really want extra help, you have to hire me one-on-one and we'll deal with stuff. All sorts of stuff comes up in coaching. The behavior board is about 10% of coaching. Son will not sit in a chair in restaurants too big for high chair booster seats. Okay. Do they sit and eat politely at home? Everything starts and ends at home. If they sit politely at home, chances are they're going to sit. Like, I would never have said to my kids, we're going to a restaurant, you better be on your best behavior. I would have said, we're going to a restaurant, be yourself. Like, because they were good at home. See what I mean? Are they allowed to get up at home? Like, if my kids got up from the table when they were eating, that would have been it. Their food plate would have been put away. How do I teach a 1-year-old boundaries? You don't. Not at 1. No. The best advice I give parents with toddlers is to completely childproof your home. So you never have to say no, and rotate their toys so they never get bored. Maybe once a week, do a toy rotation. I have tons of videos on the toy rotation system. Yeah, you don't teach a 1-year-old how not to hit. It's consistent corrective actions, but you just say no and walk away. So they like attention. If the tension disappears every single time they hit, maybe on the 100th time it happens, they might start to clue in. It takes a long time. Just will not listen. They don't listen because it's not about words. They're not about words. You don't expect a 1-year-old to find their inner adult and reason with you. You find your inner 1-year-old, and they're all about attention. If attention goes away every single time they hit, they'll stop hitting. It's just, you watch them. I'm obsessed with figuring kids out. That's why I teach this. I've figured them out. You watch a 1-year-old. They're looking at you. They're not listening to anything you say. They're watching you. So if you walk away every time they hit, they'll go to hit next time. You start to walk away, and they'll stop. Eventually, they'll just stop hitting. It's just the way it is. I'm going to show you something. Just a minute. The only reason I thought of this is I've got a grandchild coming along, and I'll make one for my grandchild too. This is a portable high chair, and you talked about they're too big for booster seats and high chairs. This is, if you know a sewer, this is a portable high chair, and it feeds in through the back of the chair, or in a shopping cart too. And then they sit in it, and it's just got Velcro in the back, and it just can turn any chair into it just holds them still in the seat. If you know a sewer, tell them to look up fabric high chair, and they can make you one. It's a really easy sewing project, but I made that for one of my daughter's friends, and then I'll make them for my grandchild too. But yeah, they're just fantastic. I've made them for every kid I know, and they go, oh my God, this thing's great, because you can turn anything into a high chair. Except stools with no backs. And no, I don't sell them or anything. I never will. Um, Any way to help a 1-year-old start walking? He work must be your first. The reason is by the time you have your second or third, you just don't, no, don't walk, please don't. That you love it when they don't walk. So don't rush it. My son took his first unaided step on his first birthday. No one but me saw it. I was at a birthday party for him with my play group, and he was out in the front veranda. And I went, "Oh my God!" He took it. All our kids were like exactly the same age, and he was one of the other kids had just started walking. Anyway, and that was his very first. But my daughter was 14 months when she took her first step. When my son took his first step, I celebrated. When she took her first step, I was depressed. I was like, "Oh darn, life's over now." Like once they're mobile, life just changes, and they get fast really quickly too. Like they just seem to be like this one day, and then the next day they're running. And what if my 3-year-old wants a hug while tantrum? Yeah, they can hang onto your leg, but I just pretend they're not there. If they're still screaming and tantruming, it's just a form of manipulation. It's like, can I pull you into this tantrum? If oh, okay, I feel it coming on. You know that the um, you completely ignore tantrums because they go in the crazy zone. I love you. You hate me. Everyone hates me. That's all manipulation. I want a hug. It's all they're trying to pull you into it. So they cannot pull me into that. I don't go in the crazy zone. As soon as they calm down, if they want a hug, I don't make a big deal out of it. I don't make it like a soothing hug. I go, sure, I love you. Let's go off and do something now. Like I just give that tantrum no weight, no attention, nothing. It's just, and they just avoid it after a while. They just stop doing it because it doesn't work. So yeah, it's kind of a manipulative thing. It's like, can I pull you in? I need a hug. Oh, yeah, no. And if that destroys your child and they're that fragile, you got bigger fish to fry. Like people will say, there's no way he's just so upset. He gets so upset if I ignore him. Well, then you're doing something else wrong. Because if they're not that confident in how you feel about them, that they can have a tantrum ignored, you got bigger fish to fry. You got more to worry about than a tantrum. Okay. You're not going to like my answer at all. Recommendations on restaurant outings with 18-month-old once they're done eating and want to roam. Go home, leave. Just go. That's what it's all about. When you've got a toddler, it's fast. You eat fast. We used to go to a restaurant and say, well, what I did with my kids actually is I had the goodie bag, and I talk about this all the time with shopping. I would bring goodies for like little toys they'd never seen before. And so then they would have something to do. And they never saw those anywhere else. It only came out at the restaurant. So, but then basically we'd say, look, we got a little kid. If you want peace in the restaurant, just feed us fast and we'll be out of here. So there's no fine wine dining with toddlers. It's just welcome to life with toddlers. What to say when my 6-year-old says he doesn't love me when I tell him to clean? I go, well, clean anyway. So it's just manipulation, pure manipulation. Like if I'd said something like that to my mother, if I'd said anything like I just wouldn't have. But if she'd said, I need you to clean this up, and I'd said, well, nobody loves me, she would have gone, what are you talking about? Like, just like, in other words, are you nuts? Like, she just didn't put up with any crap at all. And then I was embarrassed. So yeah, it's just manipulation. Don't fall for it. 2-year-old hits herself when she gets mad. Well, I have a course on that. What's it called? Anyway, if you go on my link above there, I've got everything I've got to offer is in there. And that course is, so I'm just looking it up. What's it called? There's 2 different courses that seem similar, but they're not. One is on tantrums. A tantrum, you know what a tantrum is. They don't all have them. I have one kid who did, one didn't. Then the other course is toddlers who hit, bite, etc. It's just when they get violent, when they're not getting their own way, but it's not during a tantrum. That's very different. It's called Toddlers Biting, Hitting, etc. course. Those are my mini toddler courses. You might be interested in that. But yeah, it's just consistent corrective action. Yeah, bigger fish to fry. Yeah, when they say, well, if you're not validating all their feelings, you're going to crush them. If your child's that overly sensitive, you're doing a lot more wrong than ignoring tantrums. Like there's something else going on. Like when my mother would have said to me, are you kidding me with this? Like if I acted silly or did anything, I would have been like, oops. Just say it like it is. Like kids, you don't want to roll out the red carpet for all of their emotions, and you don't want to validate absolutely everything because you're going to be raising these self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. They got to learn that some actions, some behaviors do not warrant any attention. They're going to be ignored by the whole world. You're going to be looked at like you're nuts. You know, you see those, what they call them, Karens. I know, sorry if your name's Karen, but you see those and you know darn well how they were raised. Like, you just know it. Validate me, Val. I'm just a bus driver lady. Like, you know, it's just this high sense of entitlement. But yeah, I did a video yesterday. What was it called? Can't remember. Anyway, it was on teach your children how to fail. In other words, what I meant by that, I don't think it wasn't a very good video. After I did it, I thought that wasn't very good, but I shot it out there anyway. But what I meant by that is you want to build kids with resilience. You want to teach them that not absolutely everything they say and do is going to be validated and going to be awarded. Like, I hate participation awards. Talk about going overboard. How stupid is that? I can remember when those first came out, and it was the same parents who were teaching all this, please your parent crap. And I just thought, oh, what a bunch of garbage, absolute bunch of garbage. They just want, they just want an award for everything, for just surviving. They want an award. They're just raising these self-entitled. What happens is when the whole world doesn't think they're absolutely wonderful and give them an award for everything, they fall apart. They have no resiliency, no fortitude, no strength. They got nothing. They're just these weak individuals. So yeah, you got to teach them to be resilient. Like, I never would have protected my kids from a bad teacher, unless they were abusive, obviously. But I never tried to get my kids in with a good teacher or anything like that. And they both got the same rotten teacher, she should not have been a teacher. All the parents hated her. She was mean. Anyway, so I was kind of glad my kids got her. And I said, yeah, it'll teach you how to handle a bad boss one day too. Right? So you don't want to go and protect them from life, from the world. Oh, sugar, I keep hitting something that gets rid of my screen. Just a sec here. There we go. Okay, my 14-year-old's been calling me terrible names. I'm not sure what to do anymore. Someone actually did I don't usually look at these, but in my comments, I don't have time to read comments much anymore. Most of them are just awful. They're just kids or whatever. They're just, what do they call that? Trolling. Anyway, so it was a meme. Like, can you please check this out? And I don't know why I did, but anyway, I looked at it. Shoot, what was my point? What was it? Oh, I know. It was a teenage girl who was throwing everything off her shelves in her room. And the mother was just accelerating it by continuing to stand there and continuing pointing out everything she was doing wrong. And if you look at that video, you probably won't find it. But anyway, not that you care about it, but it was this mother was just accelerating the situation. Teenagers are different. You got to know when to walk away. And teenagers, I'll tell you the two most important things when you're raising teenagers. They're my favorite age, actually. But this mother, it was just so obvious what she was doing wrong. She was saying, you're going to keep doing that, are you? Oh, and are you proud of yourself? And like, talk about, I want to say the word BIT, like, just awful. She was just egging her on, kind of, but then making the daughter look bad and filming her. And then putting it out there and filming it. I thought, oh, geez, mother, you just don't know what you're doing wrong there. Anyway, she was just making everything just so much worse. The two most important skills when you're parenting teenagers, number one is listen, to show understanding and empathy, and then stop talking. You don't give advice. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. If they want your advice, they will ask for it. If you learn how to listen without giving advice, they'll tell you more, and then they'll start asking for your advice. If they ask for your advice, you don't say, here's what you should do. You say, well, I don't know. What do you think you should do? And then you start talking about it. And then the second most important skill with teenagers is negotiating. So let's say you say, oh, can you be home at 11 tonight? And then they say, how about 1 o'clock? And then you say, I'll tell you what, how about we make it midnight? Does that sound fair? Something like that. You negotiate pretty much everything. But yeah, you're probably pushing your child into a corner and expecting too much and being unreasonable and unrealistic expectations. If she's talking to you and calling you bad names, that's not good. Yeah, it's not good. If you want my help with that, you can hire me. Teenage stuff is usually coaching. And plus, we don't deal with that. We would never discuss cheekiness or calling you names. I would never discuss that with your daughter. Like, what I mean is, that's not something you discuss with her. You just earn her respect, and that stops. There's absolutely no point in discussing that with her. You can try. Good luck with that, though. No point whatsoever. Never discuss a bad attitude with a teenager because they'll say, well, you got a bad attitude too. There's absolutely no point in discussing a bad attitude. None. A bad attitude just is a sign that you got to work on your leadership skills. Once you're a good leader, they don't treat you like that. They just don't. How did you get so good at understanding all this? I studied kids. I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11. I was always fascinated in figuring kids out. I just was. And then by the time I got the reputation of being the babysitter that could handle any kids, and all the kids liked me because I never watched TV when I babysat. I sat on the floor and played games with them. I worked my butt off for that 50 cents an hour. 50 cents an hour. It was like a quarter of minimum wage. It was ridiculous. Anyway, it's just what babysitters were paid back then. So I really think I was just kind of born to do this. And then when I was about 20, I thought, well, I should be a child psychologist, right? So I just thought that's what I should do. So I went to a prerequisite course to get into college or university or something. And they kicked me out after 1 week. What they were teaching was a bunch of garbage. It was just this holier than thou, this patronizing, outsmarting the kids kind of attitude. And I hated it. I asked too many questions, so they asked me to leave. I should have held out. If I'd held out, they would have paid me double just to get rid of me. Plus, the other students started asking me questions and not the teacher. I'm sure they've changed it now, but this was 40 years ago. So, and it was just garbage. And it was absolute garbage. So, because I know how to get respect. I know how to make kids feel good about themselves. And when they feel good about themselves, when they're with you, they want to please you. That's what leadership's all about. You're not telling them what to do. They want to please you. And then when they're teenagers, they just don't want to disappoint you. They respect you. It's just respect. You give it to get it, though. You got to give it before you get it. I like that. Gross. What was gross? Good call, good for you. Listen, that was what was taught back in the day. And also, some of my clients are child psychologists, and they'll tell me sometimes they're taught stuff like that. And I couldn't imagine being under that umbrella. Like I just learned from kids. They taught me everything. I went into hospitals. I worked with severely handicapped children. I worked with them. Do you know what was interesting? As I said, these kids had no awareness really. And they were, bedbound. And so when I was picking them up and I said, they can't look at you or anything. Their eyes are sort of everywhere. And I said, do they ever know you or like you? And they said to me, and I'd been there, I was there for I was about 20 years old, and I did that twice a week for 2 years, just volunteered my time at this called Sunny Hill Hospital. It's still around. Anyway, and I said, do these kids ever know me or know you? And they said, they like you, because they all had shunts in their necks, because they all had the, fluid on the brain. So they all had these shunts in their necks, so they were quite sensitive. And they said, you'll know that they like you when you pick them up and they relax, because they're usually stiff to protect their necks. And I remember the very first time I picked up one of them, I just grabbed them really quickly because you have to move them around a lot. So I picked it up really, and this little kid just went like that. And I just started sobbing. So you see, I was always trying to figure kids out, no matter what their abilities were. It was all on me to try and figure them out and connect with them. So how did I connect with those kids? I got good at picking them up. So, and then with teenagers, that's another story, but I wasn't picking them up. But you see, I was always interested in figuring them out. I was always interested in how do you connect with them? How do you get in their world? I don't want kids to find their inner adult and reason with me on my level. Like, I hate that saying, use your words. It's so patronizing. Like, in other words, be more like me, find your inner adult. No, you find your inner 3-year-old or your inner 15-year-old, and you relate to them on their plane, in their world. That's how it's done. It's respect. It's just respect. I look like I've got just the blinds hitting the sunset. You should share a pic of you and your teenagers. Do you know I look amazingly similar? Everything's higher. I haven't changed that much. I ran into someone I went to school with, and they said, I'd recognize you like that. Like, I really, even as a baby, I still had the same face. Of course, it's a lot saggier and older now. But yeah. Yeah, great point. Meet people where they are, not where you think they should be or where you are, right? That's what leadership's all about. For the behavior board, should it be the same consequence all week, one positive, one negative? Yes. So on the behavior board, it's free on my little link up there. The kids have two consequences. You start with the positive action. You want them to get, so if they do something bad, you want them to do something good. So you want them to do like an act of kindness or clean something, whatever. If they won't do that, because it's hard to get them to do some, don't make a big deal out of it. Just say, okay, you have to mop the kitchen floor. I'm not doing it. Fine. Then you resort to the negative deprivation. Say 24-hour media blackout starts now. And then you say, do you understand? If they, okay, I'll mop the floor now. Too late. 24-hour media blackout's already started out. As soon as they argue it, 24-hour media blackout starts. Something like that. But yeah, and you're always calm, 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 calm. The body language, I do that a lot when I'm coaching people. We role play the body language because body language is everything. I remember this one mom, she had to practice this. She had a really hard time with this one. And I said, if a kid's coming at you, they're like 9 years old or something. And I hate you because you've imposed a discipline. You said, oh, here it is, 24 minutes. I hate you. And she goes, what do I say to that? And I say, go like this, say, whatever, and then just go about your business. She had to practice that. Like you wouldn't believe, she just couldn't do it. She'd go, whatever, like she was getting all upset. So finally she just nailed it. And I said, that's it. She did it. And her kid went like this and just shut up, didn't even say anything after that. She goes, it worked, just that, whatever. Like in other words, you can't manipulate me. So body language is a huge, huge part of this. Tone of voice, you're always calm, slow. My son, he was very funny. He always said, if my mom ever whispers, run. That's when I was laying down the law, I get real quiet. Do you do one-on-one sessions? Yeah, I do. That's coaching, one-on-one. That's my favorite thing to do, is the coaching, because I've got you on video and I get to know you. And some people work with me for months or years because things come up. You know, they might just call up on me for once every 3 months or something, check in on stuff. But you really get to know people and you see them evolve. And it's just fascinating. Like they start out just a mess and they don't want to do what I tell them to do. And then once it starts working, they get this like empowered kind of thing. That's why I do what I do. And said, yes, tell me. Tell you what. Yeah, the body language, it's everything. I wonder if I should go into it right now. No, if you really want to see, I could play out a scene with a 9-year-old who's coming at you in a rude way. If you're interested, just ask me. But otherwise, it's just because it just takes a little bit. And it might not appeal to everybody. Like it's about a 9-year-old that we're talking about, because you don't do a lot of this stuff with 3-year-olds. But 9-year-old is a turning point. How do I deal with an 18-month-old who hates attention from strangers, like hits, cries, just say to people, just ignore her, she hates other people. I would just say it like funny like that. And then they go, yeah, okay, fine. Like it's no big deal. They're 18 months old. They're just learning. I'm interested in the one-on-one sessions. Just go in the link up there and you can hire me that way. Prevent yelling? No. If they're yelling in anger, or they're yelling in just because they're having fun, are they loud? It's not much you can do about fun yelling. I just think that's part of being a parent. You have to put up with a loud household. I was actually the loud one in our household. I was crazy. But yeah, I don't yell when I'm angry, but I'm really loud when I'm 99% of the time, which is loud. Oops. Oh, prevent mom from yelling. Oh, okay. Once you start becoming a leader, you don't need to yell anymore. But on that behavior board, if you yell, you always put no yelling as your rule, always. And if your kids hit, you always put no hitting as their rule. Can you see my comments? I can see them all, but what happens is when I stop on one, then I let go, then all the others flip through and I miss a bunch. And I get dizzy. I'm old, right? So you get vertigo when you get old. And I get vertigo if I scroll back. So I don't see all the comments. I remember the biggest group I ever had on a live at any given time was 26,000 people. And the comments were like, I just started doing these lives when that happened. It hasn't happened since. It was only once, 26,000 people on one live. And I don't have an assistant or anything, and I don't see all that well. That was funny. Yeah, I was like, "Oh my god, I help, help." Okay. Okay. I would want to see a 9-year-old coming at you. Okay, this just takes a little bit of time here, but this is how it's done. So let's say you have the behavior board up and you have a 9-year-old, and you said to the 9-year-old, okay, now they broke the rule that was on the behavior board. And you say, okay, you always go back to the behavior board. Okay, you broke the rule. Let's go to the behavior board. Now, the rule was this: they start coming at you. I hate you. I hate you. This is what you do. They're coming at you. This is them telling you off, whatever. You go like this. You just watch. You're looking at them. Soon as they stop talking, and then what we're going to do, you see, they were very rude to interrupt you. You don't have to address that, but you don't talk over them. So you're looking at them and you're just, soon as they stop, you go back to what you were saying. And then the consequence is they come at you again. They stop coming at you, you go back. So the consequence is you have to mop the floor. Do you understand? I'm not going to do that. I hate you. And you're just, and it says here you have to mop the floor within 10 minutes of being asked to do so. You always put a time on it. Within 10, and I'm asking you now, so the 10 minutes starts now. Do you understand? Yeah, I hate you. You're rotten. I'm not going to do it. And they just storm off. This is you. You're like this. You're just waiting. You're not saying a word. You're not doing anything. You're just waiting 10 minutes. Beep, beep. Okay, the 10 minutes is up, and they might have even left the room, but let's assume they can still hear you. So you didn't mop the floor, so now 24-hour media blackout starts now. Okay, then you go find them and say, so 24-hour media blackout started 1 minute ago. Okay, do you understand? No way, I hate you, I hate you. So they're really coming at you now. Okay, this is a real cheeky 9-year-old because you've built this, right? You've taught them to do this. Just go with that. It's just the truth. So anyway, they're coming at you hard now. And you say, I'll tell you what, I don't like the way you're coming at me. If you keep doing it, we'll double the 24-hour media blackout. It'll be 48 hours. Do you understand? And then they come at you even harder. You say, well, 48-hour media blackout starts now. And that was your choice. And then you disengage and you walk away. But you see how I had a mission and I'm calm and I'm following it through. The more escalated you get, you do not double that 24-hour media blackout with a child under 9. This is 9 that you would start doing that. Okay? But you see how I was just calm as anything. And I've got a mission here. But as soon as they come at me, I stop talking. And then what's going to happen? You see, you're a leader. You're a leader. In other words, this is happening whether you like it or not. It's happening. It was your choice. So at the very end, I say, that was your choice. And then I walk away. Like it was all up to them. Everything's their choice. I used to say to my kids, if you're good, life is good. If your bad, life ain't so good. I'll make sure of that because that's my job. I'm your mom. So in other words, it's all up to you. You're guiding your children into making good choices. I didn't tell them to mop the floor. I said, that's the consequence. It was his choice whether or not he did it. Right? You see how it's just calm though. Calm, calm, calm. And then when they've got that 48-hour media blackout, you are always trying to bond with them because it's more about bonding than correcting. So then things have settled down. Okay, an hour later, things have settled down. Media blackout's already started. So then you say, listen, I'll tell you what, there's no media. You do it with them. You're not going to be on your phone. Oh, media is great, right? You just do it with them. And you say, look, we've got no media right now. How about we play a game? No, I hate you. I hate you. Say, okay, never mind. Walk away. An hour later, things have calmed down. Ready for that game yet? No, I hate you. I hate you. The next day, I'll tell you what, I got another game. Do you want to play a game? No, I hate you. You just keep coming at them. Keep trying to bond with them. Keep trying to bond with them. Eventually, they'll catch on and they'll just come along for the ride because they realize you're a really calm leader. You're not rubbing anything in. You don't say media blackout because you made that bad choice. You don't talk about it anymore. It's already done. Don't discuss it. Do not discuss what they did wrong. It's already been taken care of. It's humiliating to keep bringing it up, rubbing salt in the wound. Just try and bond with them. Go back to being happy and trying to bond with them and have fun with them. That's what a lot of parents do wrong. The kids in the doghouse, 24-hour media blackout, that whole 24 hours was hell. I just hated them. No, you use that as an opportunity to bond with them, or at least extend an olive branch to try and bond with them. Doesn't mean they're going to want to play the game with you, but it doesn't matter if they do or not. It's what you do. It's the leadership, right? And then when the 48 hours is up, say, okay, well, the 48 hours is up now. Did you want to watch a movie? So you don't discuss all that negative stuff. Just make it happen. You want to focus on the good kid, put your energy into the good kid and bonding with them and being happy. You deal with the bad stuff. But even when I was disciplining, I wasn't angry. Inside, yeah, we probably could kill the kid, right? But on the outside, you're not showing any of that. You're just calm as anything. You see how that is so calm? And how do you feel when I'm talking to you like that? Do you feel like I'm being nasty or just, huh? She looks kind of like she knows what she's doing. Like it builds confidence in them too. If you're a confident parent, they tend to have more confidence. Anyway, that's that. That's that. How you manage that. It's tricky. You get good at it though. Once it starts to work, parents say this all the time. They said, "You should see me go now," calm as anything. But yeah, once it starts to work, it gets easier. Yeah, remaining calm. It is, but it works. It takes practice. Calm leadership help with emotional regulation. Huh? Calm leadership help with the. Well, yeah, if you're calm and they tend to be calm too. They're watching you. You can't teach emotional regulation. You just can't. It's something that just happens organically. If you're a really calm leader, you tend to have calm, happy kids. It's just the way, with confidence. It's just the way it is. Their self-esteem raises. It just is great. Everything kind of falls into place organically. Okay, I've been on here for an hour and 21 minutes now, so my voice is starting to go. Anyway, I'm going to get going. If you go in my links up above there, you can hire me for coaching or buy my course. My big course is that 5 weeks to get respect. It sort of has everything in there. It sort of goes into a whole bunch of different subjects. But that's sort of like your Bible with all this calm leadership stuff. It's just something to reference. But it's a 5-week course. You can go through that at your own pace. Anyway, and then also little mini toddler courses if you're interested. So I'll be back again tomorrow. So we'll talk to you then. Bye now.